In this video, I'm looking at the Tripowin Leá budget IEMs. Let's get it. What's cracking, audio fans? It's David here from Prime Audio Reviews. So, Tripowin Leá single dynamic driver IEM. It's got an LCD driver, 10mm or liquid crystal polymer driver. The price is around $25. Let's have a quick look at the build. These are metal shells. They've got a nice bit of heft to them. They feel great actually, and I really appreciate the subtle stealthy design, similar to the Earphones Onyx, which I reviewed recently. So beautiful build quality. In terms of comfort, they are pretty good, pretty sweet in terms of comfort. I do occasionally get a little bit of pain on my ears because this edge of the faceplate is a little bit sharp, but a quick readjustment every now and then takes care of that. No worries. Got a nice long nozzle on there, so it's pretty easy to get a secure and stable fit. Now the Leá does come with a detachable cable. There we go. And the cable itself is, well, it's decent. I will say it's decent. The quality is good. It's not prone to tangling, which is a bonus, but if you don't wrap it up nicely like I have, it tends to be a little bit bouncy. It doesn't handle all that well, but it is a nice quality cable. Right, let's get on to the sound. And in general, the Leá has a reasonably balanced presentation with a lifted upper mid-range and subdued upper treble. The overall clarity and resolution, they're satisfactory for a budget IEM, but nothing to write home about. The Leá comes across as a little bit dry, as though it's kind of been tuned more for technicalities in favor of a more musical expression. Let's throw up the frequency response graph here, and we'll talk about the bass. With a strong focus on the sub bass, Leá's low frequency extension is pretty impressive. It will rumble when you need it to and is present but not dominant. Due to the emphasis on the sub bass and the sort of a scooped out mid bass, kick drums sometimes sound thumpy and dull rather than punchy. They're a little bit thick and heavy sounding, while at the same time mid bass doesn't have a lot of impact, but the sub bass definitely does. And in the mid-range, Leá's mids are fairly neutral, even perhaps leaning a little bit towards thin due to the sort of the lessened upper bass. While the clarity is good, the mid-range comes across as somewhat cool and analytical. Female voices are up front, but male vocals lack power and richness. At higher volume also, the upper mid-range tends to get a little bit shouty as you turn up the volume. Then there's the treble, which is perhaps Leá's biggest weakness. It lacks presence in some areas and it's sort of splashy and upfront in others. It falls off heavily after 8 kHz and then peaks again way up in the upper region. The end result is a treble that sounds a little bit off timbre, and I just don't like it. Certain crash cymbals, they kind of sound thin, like breaking glass. Furthermore, the treble notes are truncated and they sort of get cut off short instead of having a more natural decay. It's not all bad, but the tonal balance of the treble is about right, but the quality of the treble is kind of lacking. And finally, in terms of soundstage, the soundstage has sort of average dimensions, but it has more width than it does depth, so it's a bit wider, but not as much space in front. Spatial imaging is kind of mediocre, and that's mostly due to the moderate resolution and instrument separation, which are both kind of not great. But, you know, not bad for considering it's a $25 IEM. I'm just sort of being overly critical, but in fact, it's not a bad IEM for the price. Detail retrieval is actually really good. And the overall tonal balance, Well, that's more of a personal preference thing. I feel that the mid bass and the upper bass are too subdued. It kind of lacks a bit of soul and a bit of funk. And the mid range it does sound pretty good as well. I think if the bass had a bit more meat in it and the treble was a better quality, the mids are up to par. But anyway, I'm going to leave it right there. No comparisons with this one because I think there are, better options. Although, having said that, let me clarify a bit because I might have sounded overly critical of these, but actually it's pretty good. Yeah, I sometimes forget that I'm talking about a $25 earphone, and in that context, they sound pretty good. I don't think you'd be disappointed if you bought them, if you're upgrading from, free freebies that came with your phone or something. But if you're a seasoned audiophile, I think there are better options even in that sub $30 range. So if you have bought the Leá already, or if you've at least heard them, let me know down in the comments what you think. Do you sort of agree with what I'm hearing? Maybe I'm being a bit too harsh. Just let me know. Sometimes in my position, it's hard to, I don't know, I've got so much stuff going on, so much stuff flowing through that, maybe I lose touch sometimes. But I think there are better options at this price. Let's wrap it up there, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it the old thumbs up, Parfam audiophile style. And if you are new here, it's your first time, you should probably hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. So until next time, see you later.